request for arrest. Hackenbeck Station is a small halt station on Thomas's branch line. It wasn't a main station, so passengers had to request to stop there when needed. It wasn't a busy station, so Thomas and Daisy didn't stop there often. Whenever a passenger did want to stop there, the train would always stop facing the opposite direction from Farquhar. Thomas could never understand why. Maybe because the passengers getting on at Farquhar want to go there specifically, thought Thomas. One day, it was a very busy time for the engines. It was market season, so the request for Hackenbeck stop became more and more requested. Thomas would often see passengers waiting on the platform wanting to catch his train, but each time they would pass the station, Thomas became frantic. "There were passengers at that stop, we must go back," he called to his driver. "We can't stop there now, we wouldn't be able to start up again." Thomas was confused by unable to start up again. "It's on the top of the hill," said Toby when Thomas took on board at Farquhar Station. "Even if you were able to start, you wouldn't be able to pick up speed until you reached the tunnel." "But I've only got Annie and Clarabelle, it wouldn't be that hard to start on hill, and I want to rest after that climb," fumed Thomas. Regardless of what Thomas said, his driver never let him stop on the hill. He tried applying his brakes when he reached the station. He tried slowing on the hill. He even tried going backwards at a signal just outside the station. But his driver always stopped him every time. One day, it was wet and muggy. The hot weather had changed to a bleak overcast, but thankfully, there was no sign of rain. It did, however, rain overnight. The rails were slippery when Thomas came up the hill to Hackenbeck. He struggled and strained, but thankfully reached the top of the hill. He was panting and out of breath until he reached the tunnel, where it flattened out and he could pick up speed again. "That's what it'd be like if you stopped from the halt, old boy. You wouldn't want that now, would you?" the driver said sternly. Thomas agreed with him. The wet weather soon left and it was sunny again. The market was busier than ever and Thomas had a full train. Yet again, Thomas charged the hill towards Hackenbeck. He was over his phase and decided to focus on his work, instead of trying to stop at the station. But one passenger didn't understand about the system of requesting to stop. Thomas strolled swiftly towards Hackenbeck. The passenger leaned out of the window and soon realised Thomas wasn't planning to stop. She pulled the emergency cable in Clarabelle and Thomas came to a screeching halt. Him and Annie were beyond the platform, but Clarabelle was still in the station. The passenger crossly strode over to Thomas and angrily shouted at him, "Next time, stop at your stations or I shall go to the buses." The driver apologised to the passenger and she walked angrily away. Thomas was cross. "Now we have to start on the hill. However will I make it home now?" he said. Thomas tried his best, but he couldn't start off. In the end, Toby had to pull Thomas back to Farquhar. "Now you know what me and your driver were talking about," chuckled Toby. Thomas, with a wheezy sigh, sadly agreed. The Fat Controller soon put up signs at all the stations along Thomas's branch line explaining to the passengers about the request stop system. Thomas couldn't be happier and no longer wished to start on the hill anymore.